Hello and welcome to the Cameroon GCE Math panel on YouTube. Our team consists of certified teachers and examiners in advanced level and ordinary level maths, additional maths and further maths, providing past questions and answers in 1/3 of the allocated time with hints. To get to us, you can subscribe, share, comment, like, and send a mail to gcemathpanel@yahoo.com or gcemathpanel@gmail.com. You can equally get to us on WhatsApp. I am the PR of the company, and let us begin with this paper 2, which has 2 sections. So question 1, section A, we start with multiplication. For a question like this, we start with multiplication. So 4 times 16 gives us 64. We now copy out the other items. We have 15 minus 12 plus 64 plus 2. We can do addition and subtraction simultaneously, and this will give us 69 on your calculator, 4 marks. Question number 2. A household consumed 300 units of electricity, where the first 220 units are billed at 50 FCFA per unit and the rest at 79 per unit. Find the number of units to be paid at 79. In this question, note that the total units we have 300, and the number of units to be billed at 79 should be the extra number of units from this 300, giving us 300 minus 220, so we have 80 units. Now the total cost of electricity bill is the cost on the first 220 units, which each cost 50 francs, and the cost on the 80 units, which each cost 79 francs. So when we do this operation, we have 220 times 50 plus 80 times 79, giving us 11,000 plus 6,320. So the total is 17,320. Now question number 3, this is 6 marks. 2 cows and 2 goats cost 560,000, and 1 cow and 3 goats cost 400,000. Write 2 equations in 2 variables to represent these statements. So we begin by forming the equations. Let C stand for a cow and G for a goat. According to the first part of the question, we have 2 cows and 2 goats cost 560,000. So we have 2C, that is 2 cows, plus 2 goats, 2G, equals 560,000. This is equation 1. Then for the second part of the question, we have 1 cow, that is C, plus 3 goats plus 3 G's, costing 400,000. This is equation number 2. Now find the total cost of a goat and a cow. You have to be careful with this question because they say the total of 1 goat and 1 cow, so that is 1G plus 1C. If you look at the equations very well, you observe that equation 1, if you factor out the 2, you will have the answer directly. You may decide to solve, but you are going to waste a lot of time. So let us use equation 2 and factor it out. So you have 2C plus 2G's equals 560,000. We divide all through by 2. You have 2C divided by 2 is giving us C, plus 2G divided by 2 giving us G is equal to 560,000. Dividing all through by 2, we now have C plus G to be equal to 280,000, and it gives us the answer directly, 7 marks. You may decide to solve for C, solve for G, and you sum, but that will waste time. Question number 4. Find to 1 decimal place the length of the arc PQ, which subtends an angle of 60 degrees at the center of a circle with radius 5.6, taking pi equals 22/7. The arc length is just a fraction of the circumference. That is, it is not the total circumference, it is just a section of the circumference, and it is given by 2 pi radius, that is the total circumference, times theta on 360 degrees. Theta on 360 degrees represents the fraction of the circumference. So putting in our data, we have 2 times 22/7 times radius, which is 5.6, times 60 degrees on 360. When we cancel out, we have 5.867 units. But the question says to 1 decimal place, so our answer will be 5.9 units. and this is 7 marks. Question number 5. Figure 1 is a velocity time graph where the distance covered by a moving object is the area under the curve. Calculate the distance covered in 9 seconds. According to this question, we are to calculate distance, and when you are given a velocity time graph or a speed times graph to be precise, the area under a speed time graph gives us distance. Distance is speed times time. So according to this question, we have to calculate the distance, and we can divide this graph into 2 sections. We have a rectangle. The area of the rectangle is length times width, and we equally have a triangle whose area is half base times height. Now for the rectangle, the length is 7 and the width is 5, so giving us an area of 35 meters. Remember that we are not calculating area. The area here is distance, which is in meters. Now for the triangle, we have half base times height. The base here is from 7 to 9, you have 2 units. So 9 minus 7 gives us 2 units. That is the base. And the height is 5. 2 times 5 gives us 10. When you cancel out, you will have 5 meters. So the total surface area is 35 meters plus 5 meters, giving us 40 meters. However, you can observe that this is a trapezium, and the area of a trapezium is given by half the sum of the parallel sides times the height. So that will be half into 7 plus 9, where the length of the sides are, you have the shorter side is 7, the longer side is 9. Half the sum of these parallel sides times the height, which is 5, and that will give us directly 40 meters. But most students might not keep this formula. That is why I decided to use the first one. So this is 5 marks. So to get to us, you can get to the contacts on screen. You can send us a mail, but don't forget to watch on YouTube, subscribe, and share. Question number 6. A ship leaves port A on a bearing of 30 degrees after sailing for 5 kilometers to port B. It now changes direction on a bearing of 120 degrees and continues in the direction for 40 kilometers to port C. Find the distance of C from A to 2 decimal places. So the first thing to do here is to sketch the bearings from point A. And remember that bearings are measured clockwise from the north. The direction of north is upwards on your paper. North, as it is indicated, you can see the north there. We now measure an angle of 30 degrees and move a distance of 5 kilometers to point B. This is how we sketch the diagram. And then we continue the second part of the question. From B, we put another north, and this ship now sails a distance at an angle of 120 degrees. The angle first is 120 from the north still, covering a distance of 40 kilometers to port C. The diagram is now complete. So we have to look for AC, but we have to note that the angle at B is 90 degrees. Why? Observe. The 30 degrees is an alternate angle to the B, or let us say a Z angle. So the angles are the same. Then this other section gives us a straight line. The first part of the straight line is 120 degrees. So the supplementary angle to this 120 degrees is 60 degrees. And this total angle gives us 90 degrees. You can now see that that is a right angle. So this gives us a right angle triangle. And to calculate AC, we have to use the Pythagoras theorem, which states that the square of the longest side is equal to the sum of squares of the other 2 short sides. That is, AC squared equals AB squared plus BC squared, where AB is 50 and BC is 40. So when we square these sides, we have 2,500 plus 1,600, and our AC will be equal to the square root of 4,100, giving us 64.03 kilometers, because they say the answer should be to 2 decimal places. So our answer there is to 2 decimal places. The B part of the question, find the bearing of B from C. So our starting point is now at B. So at B, the bearing will just be the bearing of B from C. So from C, we begin at C rather. The bearing from C will be the clockwise angle made with the north at C to the line BC. And that is the angle indicated. And this is just the same like 360 degrees minus 60 degrees. Note that these two angles are equal, the Z angle. Students mostly call it like that. That's why I'm using it here as Z angle. Students always like to call it like that in my class. I don't know why. So these two angles are 60 degrees, they're equal. And we can just get the remaining angle as 360 minus 60, giving us 300 degrees. So that is the bearing. And let us say the answer was 20. And you just write 20 will not be correct, because for the bearing to be written, it must be written like in this question where we have 030. In this case, since already 300, we don't need to put any 0 in front. There are already three digits there. Alright, question number 7. You are given x squared minus 5x plus 4 less than or equal to 0. Find the range of x for which this inequality is satisfied. So the first thing is to factorize, and you recognize that this is a quadratic equation. So we have to look for the two numbers whose product is 4 and whose sum is minus 5. Two numbers whose sum is minus 5 and whose product is 4, but we start with the product. Since the sum has to be negative, the two numbers must be negative. So we have negative 1 and negative 4 will be the number. So to factorize this, we have to open out our brackets, x here, x there. Now the factors are minus 1 and minus 4. We have completely factorized. But this is an inequality. And the answer is represented by a range of values. So we have to be careful here. The roots are not 1 and 4. Actually, we need a range of values. So the solution will either lie below 1 or between 1 and 4 or above 4. So let us test below 1. Let us take, for example, 0 is a number that is less than 1. If you put 0 in that inequality, you have 0 minus 1 is minus 1 times 0 minus 4. That gives us minus 1 minus 4, which gives us 4. And 4 is not less than 0. So the region below 1 is wrong. Let's test the region above 4. Let's take 5, for example. 5 minus 1 is positive. 5 minus 4 is positive. And that gives us a positive number, which is 4, which is still not less than 0. So this region above 4 is still wrong. Now between 1 and 4, let's take a number between 1 and 4. Let's take, for example, 3. 3 minus 1 is positive and 3 minus 4 is negative. Positive times negative is negative. And all negative numbers are less than 0. So between 1 and 4 is the correct region. So our solution is 1 is less than or equal to 4. Less than or equal to 4 is used because the boundaries are included. For the B part, the solution is represented on a number line as follows. These are number line, calibrated. The boundaries are included, so we put circles that have been shaded and we link them. The region is from 1 to 4. We have represented on the number line, 6 marks. Question number 8. The interior angle of a regular polygon is 108 degrees. Find the value of the exterior angle. The exterior angle is always given by 180 degrees minus interior angle. That gives us 180 degrees minus 108 degrees, which is 72 degrees. B. Find the number of sides. The number of sides is given by 360 degrees divided by the exterior angle. And the exterior angle here is 72. That gives us 5 sides. And C. The special name for this regular polygon is a pentagon. You can think of the World Trade Center. A pentagon is a figure with 5 sides, regular one in this case. So this is 5 marks. Question number 9. We have this network, road network with towns A, B, and C to determine the number of nodes at M. So we can represent it that way so that it is clear. So at M we have 1. The number of links between A and B we have that's 1. And the number of links between A and C we have 3. Note that between A and B we have an ordered relation, an ordered line. I am using the names that students mostly use. I'm trying to avoid the terminologies, but I know I cannot avoid them that much. Now to calculate the number of arcs, we have to use the Euler's formula, which states that the number of arcs is equal to the number of nodes plus vertices, number of nodes plus regions minus 2. So in this figure we have 3 regions. region 1, region 2, and region 3, and we have 4 nodes or vertices. So this gives us 4 plus 3 minus 2, which is giving us 5 arcs. Question 10, we have the matrix P and M and N, and we are being told that PM is equal to N. Find PM in terms of A and B. So PM is equal to P times M, and note how the multiplication is done for matrices. I'll use the colors to distinguish. So we have row 1 times column 1, row 1 of the first matrix times column 1 of the second matrix. So we have 2 times A plus 3 times minus 1. Now row 1 times column 2, we have 2 times B plus 3 times 2. We now move to row 2 times column 1, you have 1 times A plus 4 times minus 1. Then row 2 times column 2, we have 1 times B plus 4 times 2. And this gives us 2A minus 3, 2B plus 6, A minus 4B plus 8 when you simplify. Now in B, we have to look for the values of A and B. Since PM is equal to N, it means that corresponding entries are equal. So I'll just use any one. I'll use the ones which will give me the answers very fast. So I have A minus 4 to be equal to minus 3 corresponding. So A must be equal to 1. And B plus 8 equals 10. So B should be 10 minus 8, which is 2. 6 marks. Question 11. To get to us, you can get to the contacts on screen, and don't forget to subscribe, to click to like, and to share. And you can send a Gmail or an email to gcematpanel@gmail.com or at yahoo.com, or you can send us a message on WhatsApp to get a copy of any other paper. Question 11. 2 statements are such that Peter is studying English is P. Peter will live in Britain is Q. Translate. P implies Q in ordinary English. This is a conditional statement and it's an implication. P implies Q is if Peter is studying English language, then Peter will live in Britain. P implies Q. To form the converse, we have to interchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. The first statement is the hypothesis, the second one is the conclusion for an implication. So let us reverse them. So instead of writing P implies Q, I will now write Q implies P, and this is read as if Peter will live in Britain, then Peter is studying English language. To form the converse, we take the negation of both hypothesis and conclusion. That is how a converse is formed. So negation of Q of P implies negation of Q. So negation of P implies negation of Q. And this is read as if Peter is not studying English language, then Peter will not live in Britain. 6 marks. Question 12. The sum of the first n terms of a sequence of real numbers is given by Sn equals that. Find the first term. The first term is the same as the sum of the first, let me call it one term. So the first one term is just the same like the first term, and that is given as when n is 1, we have 1 into 1 plus 5 giving us 6. The ninth term is the same as the sum of the first 9 terms minus the sum of the first 8 terms. So we look for the S9 minus S8. That gives us 9 into 9 plus 5 minus 8 into 8 plus 5. When you simplify, we have 126 minus 108 giving us 18. And C, the sum of the first 10 terms is just S10, which is 10 into 10 plus 5. That gives us 250. 6 marks. The next question, you have tan theta equals root 3. Theta is an acute angle. Find sin theta. Tan theta equals root 3 is the same as tan theta is equal to root 3 on 1. So let us sketch. For this right angle triangle, tan theta is equal to opposite, that is root 3 over adjacent. So the adjacent side is 1. So the hypotenuse equals 1 squared plus root 3 squared, the square root of all of that giving us 2. So the hypotenuse is 2. We can now look for sin theta using SOHCAHTOA. And from SOHCAHTOA, sin theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And this gives us root 3 on 2. Now find the value of theta in degrees. Theta will be obtained by the sine inverse of root 3 on 2 or arc sine root 3 on 2 giving us 60 degrees. If you are using purple calculator, this is how you do the operation. You have root 3 divided by 2 giving you 0.866. You now press second function and press sign. If you are using Casio or any other advanced calculator, you press first of all shift, press sign, and then the value of the root 3 on 2, which is 0.866, and you have 60 degrees as well. Make sure your calculator is in degrees. Because your calculator is not in degrees, you have a wrong answer. Question number 14 is a second circle ABC with center at A and angle ABO. ABO means the angle is at B. And ABO is equal to 50 degrees. So let us look at the triangle. We consider triangle ABO. So that is 50 degrees. This is an isosceles triangle. Why? Because OA is the radius and OB is also the radius. So the lengths of sides OA and OB are the same. Whenever two sides of a triangle are equal, you say it's an isosceles triangle, and the two angles at the extremes will also be equal. So the remaining angle there is x. Therefore, 50 degrees plus 50 degrees must give us, plus x must give us 180 degrees, the sum of interior angles of a triangle. So x must be equal to 180 minus the sum of the two angles, which are 50 each, giving us 80 degrees. Note that angle x is twice as large as the angle y. We are looking at the B part now. Because x is the angle subtended by AB at the center, while y is the angle subtended at the circumference. And the angle subtended at the center is 2 times the angle at the circumference. So x is equal to 2y. Therefore, y will be equal to x on 2, and our y will be equal to 40 degrees. Question 15. The probability that it will rain on a particular day is 3 on 5, or 3 feet. What's the probability that it will not rain on that day? The probability that it does not rain and the probability that it rains are complementary events. The probability that it does not rain is equal to 1 minus the probability that it rains. So that will give us 1 minus 3 feet, which is equal to 2 feet. B, that it will rain for 2 consecutive days. We consider the events to rain as independent events. So this is the probability of it will rain for the first day times the probability that it will rain for the second day. So PR1 times PR2. This will give us 3 on 5 times 3 on 5. And that's equal to 9 on 25. These are independent events. The probability is constant. That brings us to the second section of question 2. To get to us, don't forget to go to YouTube, subscribe, share, like, and help someone have an A grade as well. You can email us after all of that on gcemathspanel@yahoo.com or gmail.com, or send a WhatsApp message. So section B is actually required to be answered in 1.5 hours. Section A is in 1 hour, but you have used 22 minutes. Now section B, which is 1 hour 30 minutes, we'll use the remaining time here. Alright, remember, don't waste a lot of time in solving, and don't write so much. Write just the essentials, which will give you the marks. So we are given the two functions, x squared minus 4, which is f of x, and x minus 2, which is g of x, and A. We are being asked to sketch the graphs of f of x and g of x from -3 to +3, and the boundaries are included. So let us start with the function x squared minus 4. You can represent it by y equals x squared minus 4. And note that this is a quadratic. So for a quadratic, we have x. We divide the function into its components, that is x squared and -4, and put on the table, and y value. Remember, this method is the fastest. You can look for y of f of -3, f of -2, all of that, but this method is the fastest. So this is what you should normally do. And the range of values of x is from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. For each of the terms now that we have for x, you square them. So -3, you square it, you have 9, -2 squared is 4, -1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 2, and 3 squared is 9. Some people go and write 6. And that's how some students fail. But you are not going to fail. Don't make that mistake. Now, the term -4 is constant, so we just write it all through. Now, to obtain the values of y, we sum the values in red. Don't sum and add the values in blue. Those are the x values. So here we have 9 plus minus 4, which is 5, 0, minus 3, minus 4, minus 3, 0, and 5. Now, for the second one, which is a line, for a line, though they have given the values from minus 3 to plus 3, a line needs just 2 points. But it's good that we take 3 so that in case of any mistake, the third line will serve as a reference or correction. So you have x and y, just like simultaneous equations. When x is 0 in this equation, y will be minus 2. If y is now 0, x will be negative. If y is now 0, x will be 2. And if x is 1, y will be minus 1. We are done here. We now move to our plane, xy plane, and we start. So when x, for the quadratic, when x is equal to minus 3, we have y to be 5. That's the first point. Now when x is minus 2, y is 0. When x is minus 1, y is minus 3. When x is 0, y is minus 4. When x is 1, y is minus 3. When x is 2, y is 0. And when x is 3, y is 5. We now link this point to the smooth curve. Don't use a ruler. Smooth curve, you can use a broomstick if you want. Don't use a ruler. Smooth curve. And that gives us the function y equals x squared minus 4. Now let us equally sketch the line y equals x minus 2. So when x is 0, y is minus 2. When x is 2, y is 0. And when x is 1, y is minus 1. And that is what we have. So the points of intersection we have x is minus 1 and x is equal to 2. Those are the solutions. The point of intersection you have x minus 1 and x equals 2. So they want us to form an equation with these roots. Remember that to form an equation with these roots, or when you are solving by factorization, we are going to work now doing the opposite. So we open out our two brackets and equate to 0. We have x in the first bracket minus and x minus in the second bracket. The roots are minus 1 and minus 2. Just put the values in the first bracket and second bracket. Now simplify. When you open out the brackets and simplify, you have x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. We have formed an equation with these roots. Now sub 2. A cylinder tank of radius 3.5 meters and height 10 meters is filled with water. Take pi equals 22/7. Determine the volume of water when the tank is full. When the tank is full here means the total volume. That is the tank, that's the radius, and that's the height. The volume of a cylinder is given by pi radius squared times height, because they said it's a cylinder. That gives us 22/7 times 3.5 times 3.5 times 10. Simplifying on the calculator will give us 385 meters cubed, because it's volume. The B part, we are being told that paragraph, a tap is attached to the tank such that when open for 3 minutes, 1 feet of the water flows from the tank. Calculate the quantity of water that flows out in 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, 1 feet of this volume will flow out, and this volume is 385 meters cubed. So 1 feet of 385 just means 385 divided by 5, and that will give us 77 meters cubed. That is the amount that flow out in 3 minutes. All right, question 2, we have functions. So the functions f and g are defined as f of x equals that and g of x equals that. The function f of x has domain x and element of R. Now A, find f of 2. Just substitute the value of 2 in the function f. You have 3 times 2 plus 1 giving us 7. Now B, they say state the domain of f of x. The good news is that the domain of f of x is in this question. You just need to copy and paste. So you can either write x and element of R, or you just write domain equals R. Look at the answer. The answer is there, x and element of R. That is the domain of f of x. And some people don't know the answer. B, state the domain of f of x. So the domain is a set of all real numbers. C, evaluate g of 1. G of 1 means in the function g, put 1. But know that g is equal to 1 over f of x. So we have 1 over f of 1. That will give us 1 over 3 times 1 plus 1. So that is equal to 1 on 4. D, find f inverse of x. The inverse function can be obtained using flowcharts, but here let's do by analysis. you have replace f of x by y. So we have y equals 3x plus 1. Then solving for x, you have y minus 1 equals 3x. Dividing all through by 3, you have y minus 1 on 3 equals x. So our x is y minus 1 on 3. We now replace x by f inverse of x and y minus 1 on 3 by x minus 1 on 3. So that's the inverse function. Now find g of f of x and state its domain. G of f of x is the composite function. We know that g of f of x is equal to 1 over 3x plus 1. But the x here has been replaced by f of x, so we have 1 over 3f of x plus 1. But f of x is 3x plus 1. So when you open out this, you have 1 over 9x plus 3 plus 1, which is equal to 1 over 9x plus 4. And to get the domain of this function, since there is a variable in the denominator, equate the denominator to 0 and solve for x. So we have 9x plus 4 equals 0, 9x equals minus 4, and x equals minus 4 on 9. So the domain here is a set of all real numbers excluding minus 4 on 9. So we have all real numbers except minus 4 on 9 written like that. Alright. Question 2b. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses only, construct PQR, in which PQ equals 5 centimeters and QR equals 4 centimeters, and angle PQR equals 60 degrees. The first thing is to draw the line PQ, which is 5 centimeters, using only a ruler and a pair of compasses. So I place my points where I have to begin, rule the line up to the point 5 using a ruler, and stop. I put another point there. So this line, I will label it PQ, 5 centimeters. The next thing is to construct the angle 60 degrees. Note that to construct angles 60 degrees, we just have to form an equilateral triangle using faint lines. So I will place my compass at P and open out the other end to Q. I will make this faint line and I'll now place it at Q and open out the compass and do the same thing. You can notice that the two faint lines intersect. Those are called construction lines. So this point where it intersects, if I link it to P and also link it to Q, I'll have an equilateral triangle and all the angles will be 60 degrees. So I have constructed my angle 60 degrees. I will now place my ruler at P and rule a line, but I will not rule it up to the point where it intersects because my PQ has to be, or my QR has to be 4 centimeters. My QR has to be 4 centimeters. And since QR is equal to 4 centimeters, I'll end at 4. So this now gives me 4 centimeters, and I'll label that point up there R. And this is angle 60 degrees that you have constructed. Don't try to use a protractor because you'll be deceiving yourself. Now the next thing is B, to bisect any two sides of the triangle PQR. I'll start by bisecting the line PQ. Bisect means divide into two equal parts using construction lines. So I'll place my compass at Q, open it out to above a half of the length of the line PQ. And I'll make a construction line above and another one below. I will now place the compass at Q and do the same thing. Open it out, make a construction line above and below. Now we have to link these 2 points of intersection using a ruler. And I'll use my ruler and link these 2 points using a faint line. And then I'll now equally want to bisect PR. So I'll place my compass at P and open it out to above a half of the length of the segment PR, make a construction line above and below. I'll place it at R and do the same thing. I now use my ruler to link these 2 points. Now I have the point of intersection of these 2 lines there. I'll now place my compass at that point, open it out to any of the ends and make a circle. You can see this circle is called an or let me rather call it a circumcircle. This circle passes through the points This circumcircle passes through the points P, R, and Q. Alright, so this is complete. To get to us, you can subscribe on YouTube, click watch, share, and help others to also pass the GCE in A grade. You can get to us on mail or on WhatsApp. Now, question number 3. We have the table given showing the number of pairs picked by some children. A, determine the total number of children in terms of X. So the total number of children is given by 3 plus 8 plus 4 plus X plus 2, and that will give us X plus 17. Now, given that the mean is 3, find the value of X. Remember that this is a frequency table. So to find the mean using a frequency table, you have to take each of the scores and multiply by its frequency. This will give us 1 times 3 plus 2 times 8 plus 3 times 4 plus 4 times X plus 5 times 2. All that on the total frequency, which is what we calculated in A. All that on X plus 17. This will be equal to the mean. Simplifying will give us 41 plus 4x on X on 17 plus 17 giving us 3. Cross multiplying will give us 41 plus 4x equals 3 into X plus 17. Opening out the brackets, we will have 41 plus 4x equals 3x plus 51. And X will be equal to 10 when you bring like terms together. See, the modal class here is 4. How do you know? Because some people will go and write the modal class to be 10. No, the modal class is not 10. 10 gives you an information of where the modal class is found. The modal class should actually be the value 4. 4 occurs how many times? 4 occurs 10 times. Therefore, the modal class is 4. And the modal class frequency is 10. Now, D, determine the total number of children involved. From our calculations, our X is equal to 10. So the total number of children will be 10 plus 17, giving us 27 children. Second part of the question involves vectors. OA is equal to A, OB equals B, and OD equals 4 OB. Find in terms of A and B the vector AB. So AB, to move from A to B, you have to move from A to O, and then from O to B. Do we know A to O? No. We know O to A, but we know that AO is the opposite of OA. So AO is minus small a plus OB, and that is the vector AB. So the next thing is look for OC. OC, according to the question, OC should be equal to 4OA. Why? Because the distance from O to A is 1/3 the distance from A to C. It means that if OA is 1 part, AC is 3 parts, giving us a total of 4 parts. So from O to C is 4 parts, and 1 part is OA. So it's OA plus OA plus OA plus OA, giving us 4OA. So OC is 4A's. Then to look for CD, to move from C to D, you have to move from C to O and from O to D. And from C to O, we have minus 4A because OC is 4A's. So CO is minus 4A's. And from O to D, according to this question, OD is 4OB. So we have plus 4 times OB, but our OB is the small vector B. So this will give us minus 4A plus 4B. For D, state the relationship between the vectors AB and CD. Here they have said state. You can just put the answer, but it is good to show. Our CD here is equal to 4. If you factorize CD, we'll have 4 into minus A plus B. And we know that minus A plus B is equal to AB, according to A up there at the top of the screen. So CD is equal to 4AB. So we start these vectors AB and CD are parallel. Question number 4. The first part, B, a pair and Ngono invested some money in a business and made a total profit of 468,000. They shared 10% of the profit equally. So 10% of this profit, which is what we are calculating in A, is 10 over 100 times 468,000, giving us 46,800 francs. B, the amount received by each person. We are being told that for this amount, they share it equally. So each person receives 1/3 of this amount, which is 15,600 francs. Now C, the remainder of the profit is shared amongst B, Epie, and Ngono in that ratio respectively. calculate B's share. So, first of all, the remainder of this profit is 468,000 minus 46,800, which is what we are calculating in C. That gives us 421,200. Then now for D, the remaining profit was shared in that ratio. 3:5:7. So B is to A, P is to Ngono is 3:5:7. So B receives, so we can say that all these parts, we have 3 parts plus 5 parts plus 7 parts, giving us a total of how many parts? 3 plus 5 plus 7 is 15. And B receives 3 out of 15 of these parts. Of what? Of the remainder. The remainder that we calculated in C. Of the remaining profits, which is 421,200. And on your calculator, you have 84,240 francs. Then E, to calculate the total amount received by B. B, first of all, receives 15,600 plus now the 84,240, giving us 99,840 francs. The B part of the question: in a certain class of a school, the sets M, P, and C are defined as M equals X is such that X is a student who studies mathematics. P, X is such that X is a student who studies physics. C, X is such that X is a student who studies chemistry. Express the following in ordinary English. P is a subset of M. P is a subset of N means all the students who do physics also do maths, or all physics students are mathematics students. B, we have the cardinality of M intersection P intersection C equals 25. Here, this one means those who do maths and physics and chemistry. That means those who do all the 3 subjects. They are 25. So, in English, we say 25 students do all 3 subjects. Now, express the following in set notation. 15 students study mathematics and physics, but not chemistry. So, in set notation, we have math intersection physics intersection chemistry prime. That means chemistry excluded is equal to 15. D, 7 students study chemistry only. Chemistry only means M prime intersection P prime intersection C. C without the prime. That is C. That's chemistry only. So M prime intersection P prime intersection C equals 7. D, so for E, given that the number of students study chemistry is 37 and those studying maths is 53, draw a Venn diagram to represent the above information. So let's draw the Venn. The universal set U, we have the math set. The next thing is the physics. Note that physics is a subset of math, so we draw it this way. The next thing is the chemistry set. And to start putting in the values for the cardinalities, you must begin at the center, or it's good to begin at the center. How many students do all 3 subjects? You have 25. The next thing that we have is the number of students who do mathematics and physics but not chemistry. Mathematics and physics but not chemistry is that region, which is 15. Then we have those who do chemistry only, 7. Then we have those who do chemistry and physics. Chemistry and mathematics but not physics. Chemistry and math but not physics. We have 5 because the total number of students who do chemistry has been given as 37. So we have 25 plus 7 giving us 32. Plus 7 giving us 32. It means that 37 is short of 5. So the 5 should be in the remaining region which has been indicated there. And the last element we have to put is, they said the number of students who do mathematics, we have 53. So when we look at mathematics, we have 15 plus 25 giving us 40 plus 5, 45. So 53 is short by 8. So we have 40, 45 to 53, we have 8. And that's the representation. So this paper has been answered in 45 minutes instead of 2 hours, 30 minutes. If you work very fast, you can actually answer the question in 1 hour. So thank you so much. It has been the PR. I am Evina presenting this script in our team. You can get to us to get advanced level question and answers in mathematics, statistics, or mechanics. You can equally get to us for additional maths and further maths question and answers. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, share, like, and watch. Thank you so much, and see you. Our next paper will be coming up soon.